Welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's been a minute. Today is October 1st, 2023. My name is Teri Hunter, and I'm here with what has traditionally been my weekly live astrology readings here 11 a.m. Pacific time on Sunday mornings. So I took a month off. I had a mini renovation done here in my home. I don't know if for those of you that have watched me for a while, you may see the difference. I hope you do. But anyway, so I'm just going to launch right in. Maybe a little bit of a slow start as people are, hi, small wildflowers. We might get a little bit of a slow start this morning as people may have gotten used to the live not being going on. So anyway, all right. First of all, let me say hi to my Libras. Happy birthday, Libra. Welcome to your solar return. This is very powerful. You have the South Node in your first house, helping you redefine and in many ways have a certain awareness for where you may be overcompensating, over cooperative in relationships. The South Node is a point of spiritual awareness that releases the human expectation and gives way to a broader perception. Good morning, Catherine. It's great to see you. The algorithm, schmalgorithm, you got to do what you got to do. I've spent the last month, I didn't get any rest at all because they painted the apartment. We got new carpet. And then I also added to some of the renovations. So I am really willing to pay the algorithm price for a refresh. And I think that's important to know because on my channel, while I focus a lot on astrology and from an intuitive aspect that I look at it, I also am a big believer in the laws of attraction, of a broader story of the divine laws of the universe. So my awareness of my tiredness, of the need for the renovation, the need for the refresh, the need for me to create something for myself that creates a sense of inspiration. I really want to say that. And I think that's what this month did. We worked our butts off, I got to tell you. Good morning, Gita. Lucky, oh my goodness, it's a story I'll tell you, because we went to a hotel while they did the renovations, and oh boy, it was one, as Abraham would say, it was one step, one moment after another, which is where divine disruption gives you an opportunity for clarity and awareness and choice. And that is what I have walked through in the last couple months, I'll say. So I want to thank all of you who have been loyal supporters of my work and showing up. I really appreciate you, and I want to do my best for you. So this is the beginning of a rebirth for me, and I'm excited to start producing more interesting and more inspired content from my point of view. So let's talk a little bit about some of the transits that are going on, because, I really think that there's some points that have come to have come into my awareness. I listened to Pam Gregory, although I haven't listened to her a long time, but she focuses often on the asteroid Eris. She refers to her as a street fighter. She talks about her being the sister of Mars. And this week, today, we have Mars at 22 degrees of Libra, conjunct the South Node at 24 degrees of Libra, in an opposition to Eris, retrograde at 24 degrees of Aries, conjunct exact the North Node. So let me just lay this out, because Aries is all about the self. Now, I've been thinking a lot about the self as an Aries rising. What does that mean? Oh, I want things my way. I'm ruled by Mars. I'm blunt. I'm harsh. I'm warrior-like. And I don't know if all of that is true, because as the soul inhabits the physical experience and it goes into the first house of self, it literally must have a sense of tenacity, determination, spunk, fire in order to figure out what it's like to be in this physical body, because the literal moving of our body takes us into the Taurus energy of using the skills that we've started to garnish within the Aries energy. And I say this because Eris, like Aries, is about the self, but the differentiating point is Eris is like the fighter for the street, the underdog. She's the one who's willing to take a stand for what she believes in. And being conjunct the North Node at the Piscean degree is what she's willing to stand for in the way of her own creativity, her own spirituality, her own willingness to look at what has blocked her. Because we know Pisces rules the 12th house, and the 12th house is called the house of self-undoing. So there is an opportunity for an awareness of the self while it is in an opposition to the South Node conjunct Mars, and asking us to be egoless in being brave and in being willing to say, you know what, I may have to take a risk. And this taking the time off, getting off the algorithm, wondering if y'all will come back or not, it was a risk I had to take. But if I didn't take it, then I would actually be in a compromised energy to serve you at the maximum and at my full capacity. So that is what the South Node conjunct Mars is asking us to do right now in the house of partnership, in the house of creating harmony and peace. And oftentimes we perceive that as creating peace for someone else. Oh, I don't want to do anything to piss you off. Well, you know what? Sometimes if we don't piss people off, we piss ourselves off. And then that just festers within us. So I think this is a really powerful energy, because at the same time, these next couple of days, we know the moon travels very quickly, and the moon is entering Taurus today, and it's on its way, booking its way over to Jupiter. And then as it crosses over Jupiter, it's going to cross over Uranus. So in Taurus, what do I want to think about that? Jupiter is retrograde. Uranus has just gone retrograde. And I'm thinking to myself, you know what? How am I going to rewrite my beliefs? Am I going to write them based on a human structure that's never really served me experientially as I've been dutiful to others? Has it truly paid off? Or am I willing to have an emotional liberation? What is important to me? Now we go back to this whole idea that Mars and the South Node are conjunct in the sign of Libra. Eris, the sister of Mars, is conjunct the North Node, a ravenous energy of wanting to express that which I have not experienced. So this is very powerful. Now, we have a third player involved. We have more than a third player. We have the asteroid Juno, which has been traveling through Leo with Venus. The whole time that Venus has been going through Leo, she has been having a conversation. Now, these two energies are very synergistic. Juno representing committed partnership, devotion. Venus representing love and self-worth, and many, many other things. And in ancient times, oftentimes a woman would marry for money and security. So as Juno and Venus have been walking through Leo, literally Venus and Juno have been conversing about what's important to me. How do I want to express myself? What do I want to create? And how will I stand in courage and leadership for myself as I am devoted to that which I want to create? And I think this is super, super powerful, because I believe, and I have said on this show, many of you that are here today have watched me for years, and I've been talking about how Spirit has shown me that the aging process is being rewritten, and the risks that we're willing to take, not to fight the system, but to focus in on how it feels to have the flow that we want in our lives, is going to start to rewrite our experiences. And many of us are going to stand in a way that others will see us experiencing this. So I think that this is a very important and powerful time. We have many planets retrograde all week long, and for even longer than that, but since we're just addressing this particular week, we have Saturn retrograde at the first degree of Pisces. So here is Saturn, rules, limitations, restrictions, history, being willing to endure at the Aries degree in the sign of spirituality. I absolutely believe this is Saturn offering me an opportunity to be a peaceful spiritual warrior within my own life that's writing my own structure, not to be defiant, but to be aware of my co-creative talents and gifts. And I think we all have them. At the same time, we have Neptune retrograde at 25 degrees of Pisces, making a sextile to Pluto at 27 degrees. Pluto is also retrograde in Capricorn, supporting the idea of rewriting our rules, the rules about how we define them. And when I say rules, it's like this. I think to myself, you guys, I have so many stories I could tell you about what's happened over this last month that have been comical, brought tears to my eyes, and at the same time empowered me as I've overcome my own Martian habits. Because I really believe that this is a period of time that, as these planets are retrograde and we're at the last quarter of this year of introspection, this 7 year of looking at our lives and really assessing, are we lined up with the deepest truth of what makes us happy? Now, I might lose some of you here, especially the viewers that aren't watching live, because, I do watch my television, and I have not watched the Bachelor franchise for years. And when I was in the hotel, and rather trapped in many ways, again, another long story, I was watching Good Morning America, and they were interviewing the Golden Bachelor. And I'm telling you, I was jumping up and down in that hotel room, because to me, it was evidence of what I've been talking about for years now, at least probably 5 years. I've been talking about rewriting the aging process, looking at us as viable beings for the creation of our own careers, the creation of our love life, the creation of our own happiness. And as I watched that initial, episode, I really felt like this was indicative of where we are going as a humanity, the human race. So I really want to encourage all of you to dust off those dreams and not ask how you will get them, but how it will feel as you stretch for them, because that feeling will draw in opportunities and experiences and situations that will support that dream in ways that you cannot fathom, ways that you cannot identify in this moment. And as you open up to that risk of how does it feel versus how will I walk through it, how will I wrestle it to the ground and make it happen, you will be surprised at what the universe can do to empower you within your own thought process. So, all right. So what I'm going to do now, in tradition of my Libra fairness, because it is Libra's month. Happy birthday, Libra. I'm going to start with Libra. These readings are based on whole sign Western astrology. I'm talking about Libra rising. If you don't know your rising sign, you're going to want to go to any one of the free birth calculators on the internet. You just need your exact time of birth and location in order to determine that information. I also suggest you look, if you're at your moon sign second. I believe we are absolutely emotional beings. If we don't feel great, it's not too easy to manifest. When we feel inspired and hopeful and faithful, we see our manifestations roll forward a little bit more expeditiously. So anyway, and right before I want to start, I just want to welcome Carly Porter. Congratulations on the twins coming in this last week. We had 2 new souls incarnate on the planet, and they're going to be here to help rewrite the structure of this very exciting planet that we have here. All right, so let's start with our Libras. I'm going to pull 1 tarot card, and then I'm going to do an angel reading for each sign. So here we go. For our Libras, we have the High Priestess. Now, the High Priestess in the tarot is the second energy with which the Fool meets on his hero's journey. The first is the magician, the mercurial magician, where all the elements of the earth are placed upon the table for him to play with, meaning the Fool. Now the Fool is reintroduced to his intuitive body, to the part of him that receives energy through his emotions and learns how to create abundance by the focus of his own intention here. And I want to offer this too because I myself am a Libra sun, and I feel like it's very important at this time to be aware of the boundaries. And I want to offer it this way. When I say boundaries, I don't mean this like pushing away against imbalance. It's the boundaries that imbalance has to offer that brings balance into the forefront. I'm really wanting to focus on the ebb and the flow, as Abraham would say, those step one moments that create a disruption that then further identifies what we actually want to experience. And Libras may be experiencing a lot on an intuitive level that is calling forth a redefining of what makes you happy. Again, here we have Mars conjunct the South Node in your sign, and this is at Mars is currently at 22 degrees. And then this week, I forgot to mention that on the 5th, Mercury will move into Libra, and this is going to bring into your awareness and into your thoughts, and potentially even make you aware of your self-talk, as that talk supports the deeper version of what your soul wants to experience on this planet. So let's look and see what Spirit has to say. Ooh. Got a little mix up going on here. There we go. Thank you for putting up with me. Welcome everybody in the room. I didn't get to say hi to everybody. I said hi to Gita. Hi, Scarred Owl. Hi, Jules. I said hi to Gita. Good to see everybody here. I know I missed people at the top. Let me just scroll for a second. I said hi to Catherine. Okay, good. Lucky's asleep in his bed. I got to tell you, man, oh man, traveling was very funny because he was, when we got home, he was like a little kid. He was so happy to be home. He just like crashed. Okay. Libra, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Your first angel is Maya. The second is Oceana. The third is Serena, and the final is Layla. Ooh. All right. Joining Maya is the Fear card. Joining Oceana is the Burden card. Joining Serena is Merlin. And joining Layla is the Lady of the Lake. Being Libra is a partnership sign. Libra is a sign that wants to foster, nurture, and support anything that is in balance. And oftentimes, the perception of balance is really the yummy side of life. What is cozy? What's comfortable? What kind of soft and warm pillows can I lean up against? And at the same time, we don't really understand that comfort or appreciate that comfort until there is discomfort. And I think on some level, as I look at the High Priestess being the number 2, being the representation of being within the physical and experiencing that which is out of my physical senses is important, because that High Priestess is where my faith gets to reside, where my inner being, my oversoul sits as I walk through this very dense experience, because Maya is very much giving Libras an energy of, or an education on fear. And fear is not something to cower to. Fear is not something to brace against. Fear in the human dynamic is often represented as something that we need to brace for. But at the same time, there is not balance without the lower energies, what we call the lower, more challenging energies. And the triumph of those lower energies is so exhilarating that it can't really be described in words. So I believe that what Libra is going through, especially with the South Node and Mars conjunct for much of this week, at this very pivotal, Mars is now at 22 degrees, which is the Capricorn degree. It's a degree of rewriting the story, rewriting the structure, and it's moving into that 24th degree. So it's going to go through that liberating Aquarian degree before it meets up with that South Node, and asking me to be egoless as Libra recognizes that their emotional body may not match what other people want them to, that partnership sign. So I know what you expect of me. I know what you want of me. I know what, you have traditionally what I've provided for you in emotional support and physical support, et cetera, et cetera. And now as you realize that there's something more you want for yourself, you may have a little sense that fear will take you under. And Maya's offering while it may feel like a burden, your emotional body is taking you closer to your soul's destiny, because the angels are offering you serenity and abundance and alchemy and balance, which you want, and something magical that you may not have experienced. Because it is through the serenity of trusting a bigger experience. Because if we really boil it down, if really as humans, we really thought about, if I honor what you want for yourself, doesn't it make sense that it makes it easier for me to honor what I want for myself, and vice versa? Because Layla is talking about speaking to God about your intentions. And here's the Lady of the Lake offering an opportunity to stand in some sort of courageous energy that's focused on the me within the Libra energy. Two me's make a we, and whenever one of the me defaults to the we and disempowers itself, it actually throws everything off balance and doesn't offer the richness and the fullness of the experience. Now, let me redefine Libra a little bit, because it's not just marriage partnerships. It's professional partnerships. It's fostering a sense of peace and comfort within the exchange of two human energies. So I really want to take this, and it's diplomacy. It is capitalizing on civil service. This is where our policemen reside. This is where a lot of our civil servants reside. Our councilmen, are represented within the Libra energy of diplomacy. So here, I believe that your inner knowing is offering you something that, as you take yourself into this sort of gentle, methodical stretching into balance for yourself, you'll see that people will then respond in kind. All right, let's go on to our Scorpios. Rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. A stellium is 3 or more personal planets in any one sign or house, and indicates a soul's intention for experience, because experience teaches, words don't teach. Theoretically, they teach, but the truth of the matter is they do not. All right, Scorpio, your tarot card is the Magician. We were just talking about it. This is the very first energy that the Fool encounters. As the Fool comes into the physical, this is where the Fool learns that focused thought creates experience in the physical. As above, what I speak of, I create within the physical. And here are all the elements of the tarot represented. We also see this healing energy of the snake belt, which is around the lower chakras. It sort of is this dividing, or you could call it a bridge between the lower chakras and the chakras where we get into higher vibrations and frequencies, and the understanding that everything is secular. So as I focus on something, I bring it back into my experience. The Magician is also a mercurial energy. So I would say that maybe part of what's going to happen for you this week is an awareness of your thoughts, of your focused thoughts. And the shadow side of Scorpio is brooding and intense and pissed off. Mars, your co-ruler. Pluto, not the easiest energy, but a loving energy nonetheless. All right, here we go. Scorpio, your first angel is Xana, the angel of protection. The second is Isaiah, giving birth to new ideas and situations, another energy of protection. Archangel Michael here is asking for you to have the courage to make changes. And then we have Rosetta, which is representing the inner child. Scorpio, Xana is being joined by the disruption card. Isaiah is being joined by the cow. Archangel Michael is being joined by the frog. And Rosetta is being joined by the goblin. All right, so let me offer you this idea. Scorpio, one of the challenges I think that makes Scorpio sort of more intense is Scorpio can kind of see the BS under the BS. Scorpio has an innate ability to understand the human nature, the fear-based nature of humans, where we are manipulated psychologically through our sense of security or our sense of wanting to be needed and loved. Scorpio rules other people's money and it rules sex. Both can be major triggers for us to feel unsure of ourselves. So where I'm going with this is, if Scorpio, you are walking, and I would suspect on some level you are experiencing some sort of disruption. And when I look at the Magician, it tells me you have all the tools to turn this disruption into a divine disruption. Xana, being a card of protection, talks about things in the past being behind you. And when I say that, it's not as if they've been released. They are a point of reference. When you're driving a car, you're going to want to look through, sorry, I thought I had all this on vibrate. You're going to want to look through the rear view mirror when you're backing up, but you're not going to drive forward through the rear view mirror. So here what we're seeing is that you're being protected during a disruption because you personally are becoming more aware of your own thoughts, and your thoughts are things. Because Isaiah is giving you an opportunity to gestate and to become more abundant in the asking and receiving, literally the hands up and the hands down of the Magician. So as your focused thoughts, and this is what I want to say too, because as Mercury joins into the Libra energy this week, it really gives you an opportunity, because Libra is your 12th house, to really see the balance of your thoughts, how much your thoughts are based in a harmonious way versus maybe a warrior way. Because here, I really think we're focusing on asking and receiving. In the angel's advice, we have the frog, which represents the releasing of emotional baggage. And I can't release anything. I always think it's more of an integration. I experience something negative, it recalibrates into a tool, and that tool then gives me more ability to carve out the life I want. I believe that Archangel Michael here is, again, while this is about courage to make life changes, to let go of that which you cannot change, that which cannot be, emotionally rectified in some way, letting it stick to you is not serving you. And I also want to say that traditionally Archangel Michael is an angel of protection, because here in the final position is where I think it gets a little bit sticky for you this week, Scorpio, because your inner child wants to release your adult or your human ego on some level. It wants now to be the primary point of input, I think. And I think this might be where Xana comes back in and is saying you're being protected while you avoid the adult disruption and go into a place of, and when I say your inner child, I'm talking about the child that wants to be happy. I'm talking about the child that, very small children have their meltdowns and then they recover. It's like they want something, they cry, they get what they want, and then it stops. But as adults, we tend to chew on something even after it's been rectified or after the solution has showed up. We want to make our point and we want to sort of be, validated for our point of view. And I think on some level, this is now an energy that can be transformed. And if we look at your ruling planets, both Pluto and Mars, we've got Mars in Libra really braving, wanting balance, being tired of being argumentative in relationships or in my interactions with others. And I believe this has been going on since Mars was trapped in Gemini for 7 months, earlier, the end of last year and earlier this year. So, because I want to offer this, I really enjoy the Scorpio energy in its awareness of its own power. It is so magnanimous and loving. and I don't know that many people get to see that side of Scorpio. All right, let's go on to our Sagittarius's rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Thank you, Small Wildflowers, for the compliment on the home. I got to tell you all, I'm so excited about how my little mini renovation has turned out. I'm very excited about the new color of my wall and the brightness of the white walls. It's just been fun. I'm thinking of posting on the community board some before and after photos when I get myself all back together. I know, I've walked around the house being just so excited. All right, Sagittarius. Oh, this is a wonderful energy. We have the Four of Wands. This is a card of celebration. It's a card of community. We can see the characters in the background. Here's the party, and here are people celebrating. And, I almost today feel like the color of these tunics represents, in the United States, we have our Democrats are blue and our Republicans are red. And while I don't necessarily think this is a political card, when I saw those two colors, it almost made me feel as if differing viewpoints were coming together. And in that coming together, there was a celebration, not of conquering the other to make one person, come over to their side, but in some way being able to appreciate differing views. Let's see where we're going, Sagittarius. Rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. All right. Sagittarius, our first angel is Daniel, the angel of marriage. The second is Rosetta. The third is Merlina. And the final is Indriel. Daniel's being joined by the Risk card. Rosetta is being joined by the Stag. Merlina's being joined by the Cat. And Indriel's being joined by the Communications card. All right, so my Sagittarius is you have Jupiter going through Taurus, right? And Jupiter is your ruling planet. Taurus is a sign of family history, right? And while for the most part, Sagittarius is always sort of you're an easygoing energy for the most part, I don't meet very many Sagittariuses that are, too hard to get along with. But I will say this, I feel as if there is this Four of Wands feels as if this celebration may be two different sides of yourself. Let me offer it this way. Let's say, the red part of you is where you've come from, sort of that base chakra energy. And here, as we go into this blue tunic, we're getting up to the higher vibrations of the throat chakra and the intentional awareness of the vibration that our words speak. Because Daniel, while he represents partnership, literally marriage, on the face of the card, it says, I'm bringing you a partner. It represents my history in relationships primarily, and what that does for my perception when I walk into a new situation. So this Risk card makes me feel as if Sagittarius has become aware of some sort of personal history. That's made me want to go back to Jupiter retrograding through Taurus, the sign of my personal history with my family, with how my skills have been perceived through my early human experience. Because here is Rosetta and here's the Stag. And I feel as if this is about taking leadership over your own childhood, over how you have perceived your experience up until now. Over this last month, I've had sort of an up and down, wanting things to progress in a certain way, wanting certain things to happen, and then realize I'm dealing with humans that have their own agenda. And there's parts of me that could go into the frustrated energy of no one ever listens to me or blah, blah, blah. The story that I have historically, because I feel as if there's being offered for Sagittarius an awareness of your own evolution that has made you more intentional about how you speak and how you show up. And as a result of that, you're starting to bring more high vibrational experiences into your personal life. And I'll say it this way, because Merlina, while she on the face of the card talks about confusion, I never see a wizard as confused. The two don't align. Magic is an alignment to my own intention and an awareness of my thoughts and things. And here I see this cat as 9 lives. So this could very well be a new life and independence over any confusion, and the awareness of your own power as you look at your story from a new perception. Take leadership over it, because in the final position is Indriel, the light worker, and the communications card. Now let's take this a step further, because Jupiter is the opposite sign of Gemini. Both rule education on some level. Education through thought, through speech, through information, exchange of information. So for me, this is a Sagittarius celebrating an awareness of the two sides of your own story, maybe the first half and the second half, or this chapter versus that chapter, and how one chapter serves another for your empowerment. So as you reframe those experiences that may initially have felt distasteful or uncomfortable, they now become the fuel that supports your future. Okay, let's go on to our Capricorns, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. One of my clients sent me the most adorable video of baby goats, and it made me so happy, because I thought to myself, oh, somewhere people are actually connecting with Capricorn being that more light energy. It made me really excited. All right, let's see what's going on with our goats now. What does Spirit want you to know this week as your ruling planet is at the very first degree, heading towards that 0 degree of Pisces? It's going to give you a whole new opportunity to reframe something. Where are we going? Oh, our relationships. Now, this is very interesting to me, Capricorn, because one of the very first energies that I felt when Saturn moved into Pisces was that Saturn was going to really put a spotlight on relationships and any fog that are in relationships, any over empathizing or compromising within relationships. Now, let's look at this from a Capricornian point of view, because as the Two of Cups is your card here this week, and as this lion with wings represents having flight, having more fun in romance, having more of a and maybe even on some level taking more leadership for the exchange of energy between two beings. Let's look and see what we're going to say. Or sorry, the room being quiet, I said say. Let's see what Spirit's going to say. Our first angel is Layla. The second is Daniel. The third is Mystique. And the final is Athena. Ooh, thank goodness. All right, Layla's being joined by the protection card. Daniel's being joined by the deer. Mystique is being joined by the novice. And Athena is being joined by the high priestess. Capricorn, it's very interesting to me, because as I look at this, I feel as if there's, Pluto's been through your house for quite some time, and now it's in those last few degrees of mastering this Capricorn energy. Capricorn is naturally the builder. Capricorn, yes, rules government, authority. It rules the 10th house, the most public house, the most visible house in the zodiac. And right now, what I believe is that Capricorn has been rewriting itself, understanding that the emotional body is the primary energy that supports manifestation. And while we can push on things, we can endure things, we can persevere and be tenacious towards certain goals, there is an exhaustion that is attached to that. And when we sit in reception, which is ultimately what these characters are doing, they're both offering their cup. What is the cup hold? It holds the water, it holds liquid, it holds emotion. So now, as you walk through and you talk to spirit, what is it you really want? And you surrender to the deeper part of not what you think you can create, not what your eyes have told you, not what your fears will tell you. You know, the challenge of that 10th house is that because it rules human leadership, human structure. And if we think about it and we really look at history, we see that human structure has changed throughout each century. You know, if we look at the early 1900s, people were still riding horseback. They were still, living up in the mountains. Now we call them homeless people, okay? Because they don't have a domicile to be stationary. Whereas traditionally, many cultures were nomads or, followed the food, followed the seasons, etc. I don't want to get too far away because what I'm trying to say is we're rewriting something. And Capricorn, you're rewriting yourself. And as you surrender what you think you can accomplish for what your heart wants, what you have never experienced, and allow yourself to muse on that, you will be protected, not because you're in danger, but because the laws of the universe promise this. The laws of the universe will absolutely support focused thought. And when the human focuses in on worry, on trepidation, and then we have human experiences that support that worry, we call that realistic. But as we are gentle with ourselves and give ourselves just a little wiggle room to be diplomatic, what if something is new? What if that history is simply the contrast, the step one moment that defines what it is I really want? Because I think this is about defining what you want in partnership. And I don't want to talk about fear when the deer shows up. I want to talk about gentleness and diplomacy in a way that supports an ebb and a flow between two energies that feels more balanced, feels more harmonious is a way I want to put, because in the angel's advice is mystique. Mystique is offering miracles. And this is not just any average uh, energetic animal. It's a unicorn, a magical unicorn that knows that this dark spot is what is giving it the inspiration to move forward. And here, Capricorn, you're still practicing your skills of rewriting things from your heart chakra versus your head, or where you've been trained to go. Because Athena says that as you lovingly assert yourself, let me see. It is safe for you it is safe for you to lovingly assert yourself towards what you want on an intuitive level, because it will benefit others. And this is what I want to open up to, because, as we move into the age of Aquarius, quote unquote, Pluto moving into Aquarius, and all the planets that will go through that house while Pluto is there, we are going to experience a whole new Earth that is not on the Earth. We are going to travel to the stars. We're going to probably colonize Mars. Star Wars is probably going to be more real than it is fantasy in the coming decades, the coming eras. And so I believe that this Thoughts Are Things is going to become a much more realistic structure. So as you allow for that, and the awareness of your emotional body is what is dictating your thoughts, then you'll be in flow with your own desires and intentions, and you'll start to see them manifest in the material. All right. Yes, the room is kind of quiet today. But, that's okay. I guess we're all kind of coming back slowly, re-entering into our Sunday mornings. Okay, onto our Aquarius rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Let's see what your card is. This is the Five of Swords. And I got to say, this is not an easy energy. This is an energy where there's been a battle, And the character in the green tunic has on some level defeated his foe, but there's not real satisfaction there. As we see, the characters have dropped their swords, but they've just turned to walk away from him. Now, Aquarius, being the rebel, being the futuristic energy, can sometimes feel a little bit alien, can feel a little bit outside the box, to the point where they don't feel understood, or that people are exiling them, walking away from them. Let's see what's going on here, because your ruling planets, first we see Uranus. And Uranus is a key player because the moon in the next couple of days could be rather powerful for you, because as it traverses through Taurus, it's going to hit Jupiter, and then it's going to hit Uranus. And this is going to really bring up, if we think about Jupiter, business partnerships, commerce, how I'm putting myself out there, in the way of broadening myself, expanding myself, and is the audience responding to that? Uranus is very much a liberating energy. It's very futuristic. It's very much an energy of me, and there could very well be a little bit of a feeling of, does anybody seeing me? Are my efforts being applauded? Am I, with Pluto having tipped its toe into the beginning of your sign, giving you just a glimpse of what is to come, and then dipping back into that old structure of Capricorn, this could actually be that dip back into Capricorn. And this could be not specific people in your life, but a structure in your life that you actually feel a bit of contempt for. And as you defeat that structure, I think it's important to be aware of your thoughts. And if they are in a thoughts that are expanding you or tethering you on some level to the fight. Let's see where we're going. All right. We have, for our Aquariuses, our first angel is Merlina. The second is Indriel. The third is Chantal. And the final is Mystique. Now, for my Aquariuses, Leo is your 7th house, and we have Juno and Venus going through the 7th house right now. So this could, because if it's Chantal there, we're looking at relationships on some level. So let's see where we're going. Merlina's being joined by the Burden card. Indriel's being joined by the Focus card. Chantal's being joined by the Mystery card. And Mystique is being joined by the Fear card. I would have to say, when I look at the transits a bit, and I think about, Aquarius, Leo is your 7th house, and you've had Venus going back and forth through your partnership house. And rather than focusing in on love relationships specifically, I think this is also an opportunity to open this up into how your creativity is being expressed, how you're interacting with your the partners within your creative sector. We see here in this Leo energy, are you having fun? Because this doesn't feel like fun to me right now. And it feels like I've won a battle, but I've lost something at the same time. And when I look at Merlina and the Burden card, I feel like Merlina is maybe a little bit representing your magic, your wizardry, your ability to create something out of nothing, something futuristic, something nobody else, has the ability to see. Because in your opportunity or your obstacle is the Focus card. And then we have Indriel, the Lightworker card. And here I can't help but see this illumination over her head. And when I go into the angel's advice and I see Chantal, I'm not sure if I think this is actually about romance as much as with this Mystery card. What do you love? Taking this cerebral part of or this way of looking at something. When I look at this 5 of Swords, the swords represent the air element. The air element represents the way I think. Have I been in battle so long, I don't know how not to feel that energy? Because in the final position is Mystique. and the fear card. And mystique is about continuing forward and expecting miraculous solutions. And the fear card is about transforming what fear means. And so when I look at this spread for Aquarius, you rule the nervous system, you rule large bodies of people, cosmic consciousness, you rule the idea of what can be, not what is. And if you have had people wrestle up against this, if you're seeing this seventh house where Venus and Juno have been going back and forth and you've not had alignment, I feel like that maybe part of it is for you, rather than trying to get other people's agreement, stay the course. And then this fear card turns into false evidence appearing real. Face everything and rise. And right now, maybe people don't see the magic of your creation, and that is a burden. But as you stay the course and you stay focused, then you will indeed start to experience something different. All right. Thanks, my wildflowers. I appreciate you putting that out for me. All right, on to our Pisces, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. All right, Pisces. This is an interesting energy. We have the moon. And the moon for me, the moon traditionally in the tarot represents confusion. It represents not being able to see quite as easily through the light of the night, right? We see the silos, they look like prison towers. And then we see the dog and the coyote or the wolf. We're not sure what it is, but what we're seeing is a more primal energy versus a more civilized energy. And I find this crustacean interesting. I've never really known quite how to interpret this, other that this could potentially be something that bites the dog that is not paying attention as it howls to the moon. So let me offer this for a minute, because this moon card feels like it's an emotional card, that my confusion, my feeling of being in prison is because somehow I'm not completely in authentically addressing my own personal needs, but rather going back and forth between what other people want from me or what I wanted at a primal level. I feel like this is a journey to my dreams. I feel like the waters here with this movement make me feel as if the moon cycles are contributing to the fluctuation of my belief in myself. And 1 minute I believe in myself, 1 minute I don't, 1 minute I feel clarity, 1 minute I feel confusion. Let's see where we're going, because as Saturn is going through your first house, Pisces, this is a real clarifying energy, a real slow down to take a look at, are you supporting your happiness, or is this a Band-Aid that appears to be supporting your happiness but is actually not? And again, or not again, but I've said this many times, Pisces is a very, very creative energy, very musical, very fanciful. It rules film and photography, and where we sort of create an elevated version of what can be, a magical version, a whimsical version. And I believe that part of the energy here might be fluctuating between what feels realistic and what feels fanciful. I'm going to have to go look up lobster and really look at what that crustacean means. I haven't done that in a long time. Whoops. Because there must be some definition I'm missing about that. Feels as if it. All right, here we go. We have, for our Pisces, the first angel is Archangel Gabriel. The second is Omega. The third is Isaiah. And the final angel is Xana. All right, here we go. Archangel Gabriel is being joined by the Joy card. Omega is being joined by the Letting Go card. Isaiah is being joined by the Serpent. and Xana's being joined by the protection card. I want to offer this because as a, I have no real Pisces energy. My South Node is in the 12th house, but Pisces, the compassion, the empathy, the love, the spirituality you represent is the double-edged sword, because when the realities of life, the harshness, the injustices, what appears to be cruelty of life can be overwhelming for you. And yet when you really dig deep into the divine laws of the universe, there is always a wisdom attached to each and every experience. And so this is why I think the moon represents a sense of confusion, because in our human bodies, when we see the atrocities on the innocent, we don't understand that everything has a purpose. So I want to offer it this way, because as Saturn steps into your first house and is going to go, Saturn's still retrograde, but in November, early November, Saturn is going to go through your house direct. And those first 7 degrees are going to be revisited with more clarity, because Archangel Gabriel talks about Pisces having a divine life's purpose in arts and communications. And here is the joy card. And I absolutely want to focus in on arts and communications and creativity and imagination and fantasy, and allow that to be the platform for reality. Because here, as you let go of your fears, meaning as you recognize that, it's funny how some distance makes everything look small, and the fears that once control me can't get to me at all. You'll see victory here. Victory because you've been continuing to be aware of the human structure, and then continue to move forward in a way that represents you as an individual, you allowing your creativity to be a lifeline to your spirituality, because here is new situations, birthing new things. And here we see this shedding of a skin in many ways. This also is, the serpent represents healing traditionally. And for me, a real healing is an awareness that I am not broken, but that the differing, the contrast, the divine disruption offers me choices I would not otherwise have. It identifies that which I don't want, which then clarifies that which I do want. Because as you move forward, you Pisces get to make the choice to step into your creativity. You get to make the mystery card as a choice, and you are being protected while you make those choices. And sometimes the best way to be compassionate for another is not to turn towards their problem, but to represent the solution. And sometimes turning away from a problem is the only way for the universe to present the solution to a problem. All right, on to our Aries, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. I think I got grayer in the last month. I'm about to have my solar return. And I'm half Armenian. I don't know if I've mentioned that in a while. And I think I take more after the Armenian side than the Scottish side. And my grandfather, who lived to be in his 90s, he still had dark hair. So anyway, all right, Aries, are you ready? Here's your tarot card. The Two of Wands. This is a card that really, for me, represents a new world. Holding the world in my hands. I've created something here. It's bolted in. It's got a certain amount of security attached to it. It's not going anywhere. And here I have an opportunity for more creativity. It's still in process. I'm still developing my world, and I'm excited about it. So let's see, Aries, what's going on. Welcome, 145 Club. Good to see you here. Okay, so we know that we have Chiron transiting through Aries. And we also have the North Node going through Aries. We have Eris, the street fighter, the asteroid that represents sort of this. I always think of her as Xena warrior princess, sort of, traversing through the forest, interacting with the centaurs and the other creatures of the forest, and then, being the warrior for the underdog, the champion. So here she's the champion for your dreams because she's conjunct the North Node at the 24th degree right now. And Eris is currently retrograde, so she's taking a step back, not because she is retreating, but rather because she's redefining what is important to her. She fights for what she believes in. That is her strongest energy. So here, Aries, our first angel is Sonia, your team of heavenly hosts. Seraphina is talking about a change, a happy change to your family. Vanessa's talking about faith. And Archangel Michael is talking about having the divine courage to make the changes within yourself that represent the new and evolved version of you. Sonia is being joined by the Goblin. Seraphina is being joined by the Birth and the Rebirth card. Vanessa is being joined by the Transformational Swan. And the Grail Knight is joining Archangel Michael. I am so sorry, Small. I did not ask if you had a nice birthday, and I apologize. That was just so rude of me. Thank you, Dan, for bringing that up. Let's all wish Small Wildflowers a happy belated birthday. All right, Aries, this is where I want to go. Okay, so here we have the fire sign or the fire represented in the wands, right? We have this 2, which represents coming together of 2 things. I believe that Aries, you have really started to come together with the parts of yourself that are in the human body and the parts of yourself that sit outside of your humanness and hold space for your divinity. As an Aries rising, this last week has been a real eye-opener in me kind of revisiting the human side of myself. I can't help but think there was a day at the hotel when the fire alarm went off and I was not expecting it. Lucky was already freaked out by being out away from home and very sensitive. And here we are now running out of the hotel with fire alarms going off, and I'm having a little bit of a meltdown. I tell you this because I went and sat on a bench and I cried for about an hour. And I was literally aware of 2 sides of myself. My human ego that wanted to go scream at everybody for what had happened. And then the part of myself that knew I was in a step 1 moment that got to redefine what I wanted. And I think it's really important because we are never in a destination to happiness. We are never, we're never on a train where we're going to land somewhere and everything's kumbaya. Happiness is a choice in any given moment, and it's a perception. And here for my Aries, this Seraphina offering a happy change to your family is a direct result of the rebirth you have experienced. This is a Plutonian energy, the birth and the rebirth card. And I think that this has become an awareness of the 2 sides of yourself. It's almost like this human ego is the part of you that could go off and just tell somebody to F off and die. And then Sonia is representing the part of you that says, no, that's not going to work. That's not going to get me what I want. And now we see this transformation here in the angel's advice of you having faith in yourself, actually seeing yourself at one point maybe as the ugly duckling, and now you see yourself more as a swan. The integration of the 2 sides of yourself and the ability to know that integration is not set at 50-50, but will continue to ebb and flow 70-30, 80-20, 90-10, sometimes 99-1. Because here is Archangel Michael offering you protection and encouragement to continue to bow down to the sacred part of yourself. This is my peaceful warrior. This is my Knights Templar who guards those on pilgrimage to their spiritual home. And this is the bowing down and the awareness of my thoughts. I really think that there is a real opportunity for my Aries to see themselves as the hero versus the villain or the harsh one or the blunt one or the aggressor. And I think that this is a very powerful and a very palatable energy. So applaud yourselves. You deserve it. All right, let's go on to our Taurus, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. All righty, here we go. Taurus. Okay, this is our tarot card for this week, and it is the Five of Cups. Traditionally, this is not an easy energy. It is called the divorce card. It is a card of sorrow, and yet at the same time, not all is lost. And I want to offer this because this is a card of illumination through some sort of disruptive and distasteful experience. Now, we have the moon today and tomorrow will be going through the sign of Taurus. It will go over Jupiter and then it will go over Uranus. And there could be some experiences for my Tauruses that bring up an old belief or something where something's being expanded or exasperated within your emotional body. And I think this is a real opportunity for you to exercise your evolution. Do I want to focus in on what is lost, or do I want to focus in on what is still here? And I want to offer it this way because what we do see is these three cups, two of them have liquid spilled out of it. And what we see in the cups here they appear to be empty. So the cup has an opportunity to be filled with something new and maybe something better. So let's see how this is going to play out. Because again, the cups represent the water element. The water element represents our emotion. And our emotions are really a matter of focus. Because sometimes when we lose one thing, another thing has an opportunity to grow. Well, years ago, I just celebrated this September, my 20th year in my apartment. And when I first moved in here, I had lost everything I owned up until I was 43 years old. And if I had had all those things, the washer, the dryer, the 20 million sets of dishes for holidays, I would not have fit in this apartment. And as I celebrated my 20th anniversary this month by packing up my apartment for this little renovation, and now I'm still slowly unpacking it, I'm so blessed and excited to experience this fresh new start. So I think it's important for my Tauruses to really be willing to look at what is possible versus what has been. Let's see. Because Jupiter is offering you so much expansion in your house of self and will continue as it moves forward for quite some time. Our first angel is Vanessa, faith or fear. The second is Crystal. There's more on the horizon that you can't see. Bethany is about self-care while you walk through a process of unknowing. And Oceana is here, asking you to trust a deeper knowing, an inner knowing. Vanessa's being joined by the Fire Fairy. Crystal's being joined by the High Priestess. Bethany's being joined by the Rebirth card. And Oceana is being joined by the Risk card. Good morning, DJ. Good to see you here. So glad to see everybody back in the room. It's exciting. All right, for my Tauruses, here's the Fire Fairy. The Fire Fairy is about optimism. Now, I want to offer this optimism as you're struggling not to be negative. Negative is not actual optimism. So don't even bother to do that. Give yourself a break and take a nap. But what you can do, because the moon is going over a retrograde Jupiter, is ask yourself, what do you really believe? And to continue to dig deeper and deeper into your belief, because I think you may find if you're experiencing any disruption, your faith is larger than your fear. Your faith is bigger than it has been before. And even if there is a situation that you can't see the outcome to, I think this is an opportunity to revisit how much you believe in what is about to transpire. Because here we have Crystal saying, have faith and hope. There's more on the horizon that you can't see. And there's this intuitive knowing. And I believe that one of the things that Uranus has been offering Taurus as it's been going through your first house is to liberate yourself from the old structures that seem confining and to allow this sort of new and yet, if you think about science, it's a concept that you then flesh out, that you then, figure out the components to. There's so much about the energy of Uranus that is outside of what the physical can see, but an inner knowing of what can be. And that's what I think is being offered for my Tauruses right now, is this sort of trusting of a bigger picture. And Taurus traditionally doesn't like to do that. I want to know things. I want to see them. I want to be able to plant the seed in the ground. I want to water it so I know that it's going to grow. And I want everything to kind of move methodically. So here, what I'm offering is, if something has stepped out in these retrogrades, if Uranus has inadvertently liberated you from something you thought you wanted, and right now you don't know that you're going to get a better version of that, trust that it will happen, because the angels are offering you a rebirth of the self. And in many ways, all of the earth signs inadvertently put others ahead of them. They go into that earth place where they work hard to produce a result. And now you're rewriting that. Bethany's all about self-care, and there's your rebirth. There's your recalibration, because Oceana is all about an intuitive energy, an emotional energy. And here's that risk card. And if you continue to risk going towards your heart's desire, do you require the physical evidence right now, or are you willing to base what it is you want to create on faith that you're good enough, that you're valuable enough, that if you build it, they will come, because they will. And that's what I think is the beauty of Jupiter transiting through your first house. Not only giving you faith, but being able to ground that faith into an actual physical experience. Jupiter rules publishing, marketing, branding, business, commerce, social sciences. So a lot of this can be birthed in the material. All right. Let's go on to our Geminis. I want to welcome Athletic Wellcare and our Brooke. Thanks for commenting on my hair. It's quite humid here where I am, so I can't really fight the curls on certain days, and I don't even want to. So thank you all for being here. Thank you, Natalia. Good to see you in the room. All right, let's go on to our Gemini, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Goodness gracious, things have happened on YouTube that I haven't seen, because it looks as if an ad is going to run in 40 seconds. So I'm going to apologize. Well, welcome to my channel. Thank you so much. You've gotten here at a really good time, because I'm excited to be in a new chapter here on the channel where we're going to really dive into some fun things. You guys, I didn't know about this ad, so I don't know how to approach going into Gemini, but I'm just going to soldier on. I think I'll shuffle for a minute, though. You did? You did have an ad run? Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't see that earlier. Okay, well, so fun to explore. I'm going to shuffle for a second. All right, Gemini, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Your tarot card today, is the lovely 9 of Cups. This is the most luscious energy because it's one of personal satisfaction, where you as a creator have put all your cups up here, and there's this feeling of satisfaction in the way that they've not only been lined up, but the synchronicity of it all. And you deserve to feel this sense of satisfaction. This is actually the greatest energy for manifesting in the material, is a feeling of satisfaction, a feeling of I'm on track. And I want to offer it this way, because oftentimes I believe that when I'm on track is when I'm surrendering most to the bigger version of what my intention is for the moment. So I want to say this. Thank you very much, Nina, for welcoming me back to my home. As I was walking through this mini renovation, there were things about myself that I knew. I knew that I was cleaning the house for them to make it dirty. But I also knew that if I left it dirty for them to make it dirty, it would not make me happy when I came to clean up after they made it dirty. I hope that makes sense to y'all, because when I surrendered to my bigger truth, I felt such a self-satisfaction, and I felt the universe support supporting my bigger version. So that's me taking care of things that I want to do and knowing that the universe will bring the resources, the money, the flow of time, so I could get everything done, so I could continue to feel a sense of satisfaction. This is what's going on for my Gemini rising. Hey, Les, good to see you in the room. Welcome back. Let's see what the angels have to say. Our first angel for Gemini rising, moon, sun, and stelliums is Astera. Reach for the stars with your dreams and desires. Don't compromise. Archangel Uriel is going to help you deal with any frustrations. Mystique is encouraging you to expect miraculous solutions. And finally, Yvonne is asking you to be vulnerable to the bigger picture of what you want, Gemini, versus going back and forth. Because you know what? The how is always going to trip you up. The how will I get there? How will it? This is going to put you in an energy of worry, and the energy of worry starts to kick in the laws of attraction, which then bring you experiences that support how will this happen. When you start to think the universe is conspiring, the universe is moving the chess pieces around right now to continue to foster my self-satisfaction, and my joy in this moment is to sit in excited anticipation for that inspired idea. Okay, Astera is being joined by the forgiveness card, which is amazing because that means something's going to happen that's going to give you an experience that says, I get it. Archangel Raphael is going to replace your frustration with a sense of optimism. Mystique is going to let you know that timing is everything. And Yvonne is being joined by the horse as you realize, Gemini, that at this moment, whatever you've started to create is now in the universe's hands. You are literally in a baton pass where the universe now has the baton, is running around the track, making that next lap before it hands the baton back to you. So those of you that have watched me for a while know that when the forgiveness card comes up, I think of it as sort of a reconciliation where an experience that has challenged me, maybe it's pissed me off, maybe it's tested me on some level, but now it's starting to make sense to me. I'm starting to go, oh, I get why that happened, because now is an opportunity for you to absolutely sit in that energy of no compromise for what you want. Because in your opportunity or your obstacle is spirit starting to create something that will lift your frustration, lift that sense of things aren't moving. And now we have this I'm all good. And I want to offer it this way, because as I was doing this little renovation, so let me just give you a quick background. Gemini rules our everyday lives, our everyday activities, the things that we do in the way of communications and how we blah, blah, blah with everybody, right? So here it is, my landlord, after 20 years, basically legally, they're obligated to change the carpet and give me paint. So what did I do? I decided to take advantage of it. I bought a new bathroom cabinet because I never had one. And I wanted them to paint an accent wall and change the screen door. And I started to put forth my additions. And while I was spending my resources and my money, I was also having interesting communications where I wasn't getting full stories. And I say all of this because I went back inside myself. I went back into my intuition and I said, how much of this am I willing to go on a roller coaster ride of knowing that, and I'm going to say this kind of lovingly to myself, I was not everybody's first priority. Well, I was my own first priority when it came to the workmen and the blah, 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 and the blah, blah, blah. I wasn't. So I started to recognize if I was getting frustrated, how could I send an energy that would support a new experience? Because where I go to this, Mystique is saying to keep charging ahead to my Geminis. There is a timing issue that's going to support a new version of what you want, but something else is in play. And now I almost feel like you're being charged and your opportunity is to be vulnerable to spirit having the baton, meaning this. Let's just say you want a new job. Let's say you want to win the lottery. Let's say you want to meet somebody fabulous and start having adult conversations with somebody you find intriguing. You could say, well, how am I going to make all those things happen? And the first thing you do is reach to the stars with your dreams and desires. Don't shave off anything. Don't try to figure out how it's going to happen, but rather how it will feel. And while it's not easy to have a mercurial run mind, because you're going to look and go, well, this is the information I have, and this is the information that's coming, and this is what I've experienced, this is a whole new opportunity to recalibrate how you communicate with the universe. And in doing so, saying to the universe, I'm satisfied with what I've created up until now. Now it's your job. And your job will then inspire me into this next situation. And that's what happened to me during my renovation. I found that many moments were moments where I needed, not a Kleenex box, but a carton of Kleenex box. And then after I had my good cry, I was able to recalibrate and then send a message to the universe to open a space. And then I walked through it. All right, let's go on to our Cancers, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Hi, Emma Love. Good to see you. Welcome. And I'm so glad you're enjoying a breakfast sandwich, because if nobody's talking about food in the chat just isn't going right. Our chat is always full of hungry people talking about breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Okay, on to our Cancers, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. We have the Justice card. This card is one, it's very Libran in its energy. It's very much represents a Jupiter energy. We see, justice. The justice system is ruled by Jupiter. Let's see where we're going with this for our Cancers. We know that Pluto has been making an opposition to the house of Cancer for quite some time, offering renovations, recalibrations, and an awareness of a deeper psychology that rules our fears. All right. The Justice card is being joined by Archangel Michael. And Ariel saying that you're having new experiences psychically and intuitively. Bridget is in the Angel's Advice. And the final is Crystal, asking you to go even deeper into your intuitive body. I'm not a Cancer, but Cancer, sometimes their intuitive body can sometimes scare them. Their inner knowing. When I was first really exercising my intuitive muscle, it was always the scary stuff, bad stuff, the boom, boom, boom vibration. And it took a while for me to be able to calibrate to those more subtle vibrations that are more comforting, because it feels as if the more challenging vibrations are sort of at a base level. And as we get into the higher frequencies, we get into those higher octaves, they're not as easily heard by the human ear, but rather by the human intuition. So I think that might be where we're going here. Archangel Michael is being joined by the Lady of the Lake. Ariel is being joined by the Focus card. Bridget's being joined by the Owl. And Crystal's being joined by the Restriction card. My Cancers, God bless you. The crab walks sort of like this, right? Doesn't move directly forward easily. And then it also is kind of a little bit vulnerable to the tides, because as the tide rolls in, it can push the crab forward and then it can pull the crab back. So I want to offer it this way, because this Justice card feels very Libran to me today. It feels very much as if the scales of justice really represent an ebb and a flow. For every up, there's a down. For every day, there's a night. For every good, there's a bad. Archangel Michael is here asking you to know that you're not only protected, but to have the courage to kind of go through this place of taking a certain amount of responsibility for whatever you're feeling, whatever interior contrast or interior struggle that you're having. He's asking you, and Spirit is asking you to be fair and just to yourself as you sort of come into balance. Because I want to offer it this way. Oftentimes, a disruptive moment very much illuminates a path to balance. And without that disruptive moment, we can't experience or would not experience ourselves in balance. Because Ariel is saying that new psychic and spiritual experiences are changing the way you view yourself and the world and your own experiences. And there's the focus card. At the hotel, I went to a hotel. I wanted room service. The only thing in the world I wanted at this hotel was room service. I wanted the cart. I wanted the cloth. I wanted the cloche. I wanted to sit in bed because I don't have a TV in my bedroom, and watch TV and eat food that I didn't make for myself and that I didn't have to go get. It didn't work out that way, and I had a meltdown about it. But I want to tell you, because Cancer, that negative experience actually brought me into balance. And that's what Spirit is asking you to look deeper into the experiences you're having, the wisdom that sometimes a disruptive moment can bring, illuminate. Okay? Because here, Crystal is saying, have faith and hope in that which you can't see. And the restriction card makes me think that Cancer's in their human body so much that the intuitive, the moon part of you, that ebb, that flow, that intuitive part of you that nurtures self and others is somehow compromised right now. And now Spirit's asking you to have the courage to step back into that energy and to understand that that energy is the greatest opportunity for you to be nurturing and of loving energy to others. And then that brings that back into your own experience. I feel very much that this Justice card, while it's very Libran, it's also very Jupiterian. And I feel like that Jupiter energy is asking for the expansion of your intuitive body, and to recognize that if you feel a fear bubble in some ways, that fear bubble is an opportunity to feel a certain amount of exhilaration and intentionality. My intention is bringing forth an experience that I co-created. And that's very powerful. All right, let's go on to our Leos, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. I want to thank all of you guys for being here. I wasn't sure anybody would show up today. I've been gone for a long time, and it really warms my heart to see all of you here. So thank you so very, very much. All right, for my Leos, this is a lovely energy. The King of Pentacles. This is a very strong energy. It's an energy that would represent bringing something into the material world in a way that was very abundant, flourishing, and also something that brings me into a place that makes me see even more of what I want to experience in my future. When I look at this, there's also the bulls that we see. You know, we can put a Taurus energy here, but that took me to Venus. And Venus is currently transiting through your first house, and she's been transiting with Juno. This is very significant. Venus representing partnership, representing romantic love, and Juno representing committed, devoted love. They've been transiting together for quite some time, and they will continue to transit together. So as they converse, there is this feeling, what do I want in the way of romantic love? How does a seasoned relationship look for me? I mentioned earlier that I watched The Golden Bachelor. I don't watch shows about relationships. Frankly, they make me feel a little unglued, as I haven't been in a relationship in a long time. But when I was watching this, I was very engaged. And one of the things that this guy, Gary, said is that I'm not going to look for the woman I can live with. I'm going to look for the woman I can't live without. And that's what I feel like this is about for you, Leo. What is it that you can't live without? Because Venus also rules your skills. She rules your food. She rules your money. And Juno represents devotion and commitment. So here, there's something being offered to you that can be birthed in the material world, but it will require your willingness to continue to stay committed to a higher version of yourself and what you deserve. So let's see. Here we go. Our first angel is Daniel, the angel of marriage. The second is Grace and Antoinette. The third is Rochelle. And the final is Rosetta. Daniel is being joined by the mystery card. Grace and Antoinette is being joined by Merlin. Rochelle is being joined by the Lady of the Lake. And Rosetta is being joined by the love card. All right, so here's Venus, romantic love. Here's Juno, committed love, going through your first house, Leo. I want to offer this. You know, Leo rules the zodiac. It governs the heart and the spine, courage, right? Love. I think that this is all about my Leos, Daniel, the angel of marriage and history in marriage. And here's the choice card. What will you choose to believe about love? Leo's a fixed sign, doesn't change much. Without intention, without its own personal awareness that it wants to change. So an unconscious Leo can very much inadvertently kind of get in their own way, but a conscious Leo has the ability to create magic. This is Venus in the material world. Choosing love, choosing to believe in something bigger than you've ever experienced, because Spirit is asking you to have compassion for that which you have walked through and to keep your eye on the prize of that which is possible. I got to tell you, when I saw that Golden Bachelor, I felt completely valid. I know they've been advertising it for a while, but when I saw the show and I saw these women in their late 60s and early 70s who want love just as much as they did when they were 20 years old, I thought, this is what I've been talking about for 5 years, rewriting this aging process where our dreams are all vital, our creations are vital, our romance is vital. We don't have to be put out to pasture because we don't think we're materially successful enough, or we don't think we're pretty enough, or we don't think we're talented enough, or we don't think we're young enough. It does not matter your age. Leo, this is about having compassion as you come into balance with your own creations, because here's Rochelle offering you prosperity through your heart chakra. And this kind of prosperity is not money. It's everything. It's the good relationships and the money flowing and everything that you want that makes this earthly experience enjoyable. And now they're asking you to have the courage to stand in that energy, hold fast in that energy, rather than going back into your story. Because if your story hasn't served you, don't tell it anymore, because Spirit is offering you a new beginning in love. And two ways, because some of you may be happily in love relationships and a child could be what you want next. But if it isn't a child in the physical, then it is the inner child experiencing love in a maximum way. And that starts with the love of self that then attracts that love back to you. So you being able to muse on what it feels like when you're in love, how you're valued, what a relationship looks like, and not putting any parameters as to what you have experienced or what you know about love. And that isn't always easy, but it's possible. And we just take it a little bit at a time, and we become very magical in that way. All right. Our final sign, Virgo. And I'm sorry, my Virgos, God bless you, being of service to Teri this month, because you didn't get your first ever to be first. And I always feel bad about that when I think about it. Oh, Wee Flowers is doing well. Oh, I'm so happy to hear that. I'm really not up to date on the news either. Apparently there's something crazy going on October 4th with our cell phones. I don't know what it is, but some crazy thing. Well, I'm glad to hear that Small's granddaughter is doing okay. All right. Virgo, our final sign for today. And what a lovely tarot card we have. Victory. This character has been to war and is victorious and is being celebrated, not just for the victory, but for being the conqueror. Let's see what we're conquering. Shut all the cells off for 3 days. I don't mind doing that at all. I never take my cell phone out with me. It's so weird. It's like a throwback from my childhood. I'll be out and I'll be thinking, I'd love to take a picture of that. And then I don't have my cell phone. Put them outside. That's a good idea. I'm wondering if it's going to make a terrible noise. I don't want Lucky to be, or on salt. Great idea. Thank you, Athletic Well Care. That's a wonderful idea. All right, here we go. Virgo, our first angel is Grace and Antoinette. The second is Teresa. The third is Archangel Michael. And the final is Athena. Grace and Antoinette is being joined by the Love card. Teresa is being joined by the Hawk. Archangel Michael is being joined by the Restriction card. And Athena is being joined by the Swan. This is kind of interesting to me because as I look at this, I can't help but think of my Capricorns as well. I really feel like this is a celebration of my Virgos, that your own victory over your own sense of process and your own practicality, because Grace and Antoinette is all about compassion, and then there's the Love card. And I feel as if those of you that have been endeavoring, an exploration of the self, an expansion of the self, a more aware experience on the earth, have been really victorious in their there's certain words I want to use, but I feel like they're judgy words because I don't want to use evolution as if those that aren't evolving don't have as much value. But there's a very much a spread here that says that Virgo is starting to take the shackles off of themselves, in some ways rewriting how they view themselves and their experience here on the planet. And in doing so, they're starting to shake off other people's opinions, whether or not you agree with what I'm doing or you can see the viability of what I'm doing, because now I'm going to be me and do me. And that's where the compassion for what you love, where the victory comes in, is your awareness that I'm strong enough to go through the process of examining my own thoughts. And while I'm examining my own thoughts, I'm starting to become more aware and more intentional about lining those thoughts up to what I do love and what I do want to experience, because I'm starting to let go of worrying about what other people want and starting to see the signs and the omens that what I want and what's important for me is coming into fruition. Because here in the angel's advice, I feel as if you've had the courage to start to release the restrictions. You've had the courage to start to slowly and methodically and through your own process expand your sense of self, which then is, again, unshackling you from that service that isn't actually serving, but rather tethering. Because here is Athena saying that you're lovingly asserting yourself. And this is the most beautiful part of your whole transformation, is trusting that inner knowing that says, if I take care of me, I'll be better at taking care of you. If I let me feel victorious, then I then can share with you that victory, because then I can let you do what you need to do for you so that you can experience that. Words don't teach, experience teaches. And sometimes it's hard to watch someone struggle. We want to pick up, and help them along, but through their own sense of accomplishment, their strength and their resources grow. So that's what I think is going on for my Virgos, is this feeling of unshackling yourself to that which has been expected of you and starting to enjoy more that which you love, and your time and your efforts and for yourself. And that feels like it's bringing you a sense of inner peace. That's the way I want to put it. And a continuing growing sense of inner peace. All right, everybody. DJ, I hope you have a wonderful birthday, continuing your birthday festivities. We're applauding your birthday festivities. Have one for me, a little whoop up for me. I want to thank you all for being here. Again, I'm feeling revitalized. I'm going to do a little, after I finish getting all my little knicky knacks out, and my new comforter arrives, I'll give you a little tour of the renovation, and I'll be back next Sunday at 11 a.m. Pacific time for more messages from your angels. And in the meantime, everybody, take care of yourselves. I love you so much. Have a beautiful week. Peace.